Well, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, what I worry about and what I'm focused on is what the experience of the people in the province is, not you know, us and or what our experience of it is. But it's really about the people of the province, and there's no question it is frustrating. You know, honestly, up until August, I think that we really, notwithstanding that we'd had some barriers, I feel that we'd managed those challenges in a fairly effective way. We pushed back on BC. When Kinder threatened to walk away from the project, we were successful at bringing the federal government to the table, and that wasn't as easy as it might have looked, trust me. You know, so we were making good progress, and all indicators were quite positive in terms of the rate of growth, in terms of the sense of optimism, in terms of the number of jobs that were created. And then, you know, we got that decision that, quite frankly, even people who were opposed to the pipeline didn't anticipate that decision was going to be what it was. And then, you know, it took a little bit of a delay, but it was hardly surprising when the market reacted the way it did to that decision, when everyone sort of did the math and figured out what it meant to
that led directly to the expanded differential, you think?
I think yes. Well, two things led to the expand. I mean, the differential, obviously at its heart, as you know, is just there's too much product and not enough capacity. But when you get to distressed barrel economics, a certain amount of it is psychological, and what happened, I think, with the Federal Court of Appeal decision is that people sort of looked out and they realized that there was not an absolutely determined end in sight. And then you started to see the distressed barrel economics really accelerating and blowing out the differential. And so I think it was part of it. Like, I think we definitely would have reached that spot anyway, even if we had been successful with the Court of Appeal case. But I think there would have been confidence with people knowing that there was a very clear place where it would end. And so I think that's what we've been facing in Calgary, and I think it's really had an impact on people's state of mind too, especially over the fall, because honestly in the summer I think people were in a more optimistic place, and then the fall, you know, we've been dealing with what we've been dealing with and just doing what we can. At the end of the day, we can only do what is in front of us, and so I absolutely understand that you know, we're going to go into the election and there won't be a final decision on the pipeline, and I think probably June is optimistic. I think you're more likely looking at the fall, well, just in terms of the decision-making process and then the time it actually takes once you turn once you flick it back on, you don't get shovels in the ground right away. There's a lot of preparatory work that has to happen. So I could be wrong, but you know, I think we just need to be careful and cautious on this. So. But I do think, but at the end of the day, it's not about politics. It's about getting the job done, and it's about instilling confidence in the industry, and so that, you know, people are keeping their jobs and employers are keeping people on even while there's a slowdown and all that kind of stuff. I think a critical point will be the NEB. Now they say that they can get the job done by, you know, the end of February. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a couple delays, but the key is that they've got to get it done very close to the timelines that they've set out. That is absolutely critical. I say that my Canada includes Alberta, and my Alberta is part of Canada. And we have an obligation as political leaders to find a solution here. We absolutely have an obligation to find a solution. Nobody wins in the kind of scenario that you're describing, and I don't think that we help this process at all by getting there. What we need to do is continue to push the federal government to get the job done, and we have to show leadership in Alberta to get the job done. I mean, this is not a small thing, I don't think, that just in the last year and a half, 2 years, the national understanding, the national consensus around this issue has gone from, you know, just over 4 in 10 Canadians supporting a pipeline to just under 7 in 10 Canadians supporting a pipeline. So we have to continue to have this conversation and push the issue. And as I've said before, make sure that there is no federal leader, no matter what party they're in, even my own, but that's a whole different issue, that actually believes that there is a path to leading this country that is in any way ambivalent or hostile to supporting a sustainable oil and gas industry. And so that's what we have to do. What we have done is we've asked AHS, and they are doing this, they're sitting down with the Calgary Police Service to work together on examining where things are not working and coming up with a set of solutions and looking at ways to fix some of the problems. It's, you know, we've seen in other places where we've had safe injection sites where there's been concerns, and we've had to go in and look at ways to ameliorate those concerns depending on what they are. So they're going to do that, and we've tasked them to come back to us with ways in which to address these concerns. We do, at the same time, though, want to remember that we've had over 650 lives saved since that safe injection site has been there. So what we need to do is fix the concerns around the site, fix some of the unintended consequences. But the site's doing what Albertans were desperately calling on us to do, which is start to have some results in cutting down on the number of these tragedies. I don't see, it's certainly not what we are part of it, because, so what we're doing is we're giving up, we're deferring educational tax revenue that would have been payable to us with the building of the new developments that we're assuming are coming. But so that's you know, fine, and it's good that we've been able to work together with the city to do this, and with the CRL folks. But we've been very clear that, and our government continues to have the ability to approve the CRL, and the OIC has to come with us, and the stated priorities at this point are very clearly laid out: BMO, art space, and the infrastructure.